Universalist Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Lake County. I'm Alexandra Ligon, your service leader, and my pronouns are she and her. Today's speaker is Reverend Cynthia Snavely, and we have Betsy, Dustin, and Janine working in our magic in the tech booth today. I encourage, let me just set this. Okay. I encourage you to read your bulletin or to check our website, uulakecounty.org, for the many activities that are going on each week. New things are added, times and locations sometimes change. So each week's bulletin and the website are your best sources for current information. Next Sunday, Reverend Snavely will be with us again and will be speaking on the spirit of the Transcendentalists. The 9:30 discussion topic will be a review of the Social Justice and Environment Committee summaries from the Eco Expo. The annual congregational meeting will be held on April the 2nd, 2023 in the sanctuary here after a short break following the Sunday service. The meeting will be broadcast on Zoom. The potluck will be after the meeting. Are there any other announcements? I think Karen. We have a mic? Our mic is asleep.
I just wanted to let everybody know that we attended the Houston City Council meeting regarding the Forward Paths Tiny Homes project. And after a lengthy and heated debate back and forth and many speakers, it was the City Council passed that the program could go forward without garages, so they are able to move forward.
Wonderful. 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 Are there any other announcements? Okay. So, once again, good morning, everyone. We're so happy you're here with us today. Dustin, can we greet those joining on Zoom today? Good morning, everyone. So glad you're with us. To all who are visiting with us today, welcome. We are delighted to have you with us, and we hope you'll come again. If you would like to learn more about us, our contact information is on the small cards on the table in the narthex, and in our newsletter, The Communicator, which is also on the table. And you can email us using the email link on our website at uulakecounty.org. If you are a first-time visitor, or perhaps returning after an absence, and if you feel comfortable doing so, I invite you to wave your hand, and when the mic reaches you, tell us who you are and where you're from and what brought you here today. You have anyone? Okay. Thanks. Our opening words are from Armenian Russian-American writer of fantasy and science fiction, Vera Nazarian, who says, "What is it about wearing a tuxedo or that little black dress that makes us feel confident, beautiful, splendid, even invincible? We put on formal wear, and suddenly we become extraordinary. On the days when you feel low and invisible, why not try this on for size? Imagine you are wearing a fantastic tailored tuxedo or a stunning formal gown, and then proceed with your day." Our chalice lighting, the reading is by George Kimmick Beach. In the mystery of life about us, there is light. In the mystery of life about us, there is light. It gives us a place to be, to grow, to rejoice together. It opens the pathways to love. In this place of friendship, there is freedom. Let the light we kindle go before us, strong in hope, wide in goodwill, inviting the day to come. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart, lost stirrings of compassion. Oh, in the rising my sweet, like the shade of justice, softly glows, wings are free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Each Sunday, we make time for those who wish to offer a joy, concern, or sorrow, or to set an intention for the coming days. If you would like to take part in our stone ritual, I invite you now to come in silence to place a stone or stones in the sand at either of the two stations, one in the front and one in the back. Following this time, anyone who has a joy, concern, or intention that you wish to share aloud with the congregation, please raise your hand and someone will bring the mic to you. Is there anyone who has a joy, concern, or intention they would like to share aloud?
I just wanted to keep your workout. And I dressed up today. Many of you may know that for the last 7.5 years or so, I've been trying to get a kidney transplant. And a week ago, Joy got a call from the Shands Transplant Center saying that I'm on the list. Good news. Well, that was no big deal because Wednesday I got a call at 4 o'clock in the morning saying, "Oh, we have a kidney for you. You want to come up and get it?" Wow. So we did. My poor wife was still not slept since Wednesday. And got all the way up there, went all the way through the process, got prepped for surgery, ready to roll me into the room, and did the final test on the kidney. And I thought, geez, sorry, but it muscle. Biopsy today. No, that's really good news because I didn't get a bum kidney with it. But then it got even more exciting because we faced on his home, we had a great lunch at a Greek restaurant in Gainesville. Enjoyed the day. Okay, nice trial run. Got home, finally went back to sleep for several hours in the afternoon. And then that night, 4:30 in the morning, the phone rings again. You're not going to believe this. This is Tristan at the Transplant Center. We have another kidney for you. What? We're not even going to sleep that. Well, there were some complications with that kidney too, and we actually declined it because of all that extra stuff, which is what they gave you in the gosh. So we're still on call, and everybody has said multiple times, you know, you're the last guy, you're the top guy on the list, and when the call comes, you're going to have to be able to get up here. So we're kind of in a different world at the moment, waiting, and happy that we could be here with everybody. Did you want to add anything to that?
We're just carrying around our luggage.
Good vibes. Help us find a great.
Hi, I don't know if this was mentioned during announcements, but this Saturday is our open house from 1 to 4. And I would think that almost everybody here has volunteered to come, so they'll definitely be there. But if you haven't volunteered, do come and enjoy the open house, and we hope there'll be a lot of the community too. 1 to 4 this Saturday.
Anyone else? That's wonderful. We're all behind you. You have all this energy with you, right? Right. Okay, so now let's see, where am I on my script? If there is anyone who has not been mentioned that you hold concern for, please feel free to name them aloud at this time. Those attending by Zoom may unmute briefly. We will now enter into a time of silent meditation, being mindful of the joys and concerns we have just heard. Take a moment to find a comfortable posture and let the chime draw you into mindfulness. Terry's lovely music will then bring us back. Let's read together our congregational covenant, which is on the slide. Love is the spirit of this church, and through service we live our principles. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to speak the truth in love, and to help one another.
Our whistle stop is from Lily's Rabbits and Painted Eggs, the story of Easter symbols, and it's from the section Easter Clothes. Where winters are cold, everybody likes to shed winter things for lighter, more cheerful spring clothes. But people who celebrate Easter often save their new shoes, suits, dresses, coats, and especially their Easter bonnets for the holiday. In their new clothes, they go to church and stroll in parks and along the sidewalks. In cities like New York, the Easter parade of people dressed up in spring finery has become an event to be watched. It is sometimes said that people who parade on Easter to show off their new clothes have forgotten the meaning of the holiday. But the custom really began a very long time ago and has deep meaning. In the first few centuries after Jesus, new members of the church were baptized in water the week before Easter. The fresh white robes they wore after their baptism gave us the name White Week, by which Holy Week is still known in some places. More centuries passed, Christians grew in number, and Easter became a more and more important festival. By the Middle Ages, a person was expected to dress in fresh clothing at Easter, whether he was newly, or she, or whatever person, was newly baptized or not. Most people were poor and wore the same clothes all winter, one layer over another. Only the most fortunate had enough layers to keep them warm. At the Easter season, usually on Pure Thursday, people took off their winter clothes for the first time in many months and bathed their bodies in the icy ponds and streams. Anyone lucky enough to have something new to put it on. The others dressed in their old clothes that had been freshly washed. People wanted their houses to be ready for Easter too. They cleaned the soot and ashes of the winter out of the fireplaces that had kept the family warm. They swept the hearth for the holiday and laid fresh flowers and green rushes on the clean stones. After the Easter church service, people young and old, dressed in their fresh Easter clothes, went on a special walk together through the town into the fields and woodlands. At certain spots, they stopped to pray and sing Easter hymns. At the head of the procession, there was usually someone carrying a lighted candle. Young farmers of Germany and Austria liked to deck out their horses in flowers, leaves, and ribbons and ride them in their Easter procession. In time, the Easter walks became less and less religious, but people kept on dressing up and taking walks as part of the celebration. In countries like Poland, they call these Emmaus walks, and there are Emmaus groves where picnics are held on Easter Monday. The name comes from the Bible story of two friends of Jesus who met him on the road to Emmaus after he is said to have been risen again. Through the years, all sorts of beliefs about Easter clothes sprang up. Not to wear something new was bad luck. Even the poorest man or boy would try to have at least a new shoestring. A girl too poor to have anything more would usually find a bit of new ribbon for her hair or her hat. A young man who liked a girl might give her a new pair of gloves. If she wore them on Easter Sunday, it meant she liked him too. Sometimes it meant they were engaged to be married.
Sorry. The ways you can give are on the screen, or you can leave your donation in the wooden box in the narthex. Thank you for your gift today. Please join me, and if you would like and can stand, to sing Enter, Rejoice, and Come In, hymn number 361. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. They will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. They will be a joyful rejoice, celebrate. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, celebrate. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, celebrate. Enter, rejoice, celebrate. Enter, rejoice, celebrate. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, celebrate.
A couple months ago, I was at an NAACP meeting when someone talked about her parents' ritual on election day. They would come home and shower and put on their Sunday best before they would leave to vote. Now, her parents were not mechanics or factory workers or household workers who had come home in greasy overalls or stained uniforms. They were a teacher and a business person, but they still took the pains to dress up even more to go vote. As I thought about this, I thought of an African American friend who always dresses to travel. And I thought of the pictures from the March on Washington with people dressed up to stand in August Washington heat for the day. The striking sanitation workers put a sign around their neck that said, "I am a man," but dressing up says the same thing without the literal sign. I am a man, a woman, a person. I deserve respect. Our Unitarian Universalist congregations covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. But many people know from too many generations of experience that when going to vote, traveling, or protesting, their worth and dignity may be threatened. A suit and tie, a dress and pearls are protective armor. Our inherent worth and dignity is inherent and has nothing to do with how we are dressed. But how we dress may be one way of demanding an honoring of that worth and dignity. When I was a child, I had 3 sets of clothes: play clothes, school clothes, and church clothes. My parents also had 3 sets: house clothes, work clothes, and church clothes. And the church clothes were, of course, the fanciest. And while I dressed up every Sunday for church, Easter Sunday was even fancier. On Easter, I had a new dress, one year with multiple petticoats, and only on Easter, a hat and gloves. I know that other faiths have similar traditions. One year, when I was serving the Unitarian Universalist congregation in Columbia, Maryland, I happened to go by the Interfaith Center where we met on Eid. The Muslim congregation was just coming out, and the children were all excited about their new clothes. Some may say that dressing up is not what a religious service is about. Indeed, the comic strip artist Ray Billingsley regularly has his 2 young protagonists, Curtis and his brother Barry, make fun of the church ladies' hats. But dressing up for one's religious service is about showing respect for the tradition and acknowledging that you are a respected person within it. And while many of you may not believe in heaven, literally, the old Johnny Cash song notes that I got shoes, you got shoes, all God's children got shoes. I'm going to walk all over God's heaven. Shoes may not be for the poor down here below, but in heaven, everybody's got them. There, the song says, everyone is to have the dignity of shoes. Today, many young people may not go to church, temple, synagogue, or mosque, but they too have a place where they shed their fast food worker uniforms and mechanics overalls for their fanciest duds. Go to the clubs to see the young people in their finest. Some of the clubs even have dress codes. And the point is the same. Here you are not just a burger flipper or someone's service worker. Here at the club, you are a person with your own inherent worth and dignity. I remember my great aunt Ethel today. The day she was supposed to be licensed or ordained, I forget which, within the Evangelical United Brethren Church, she got a phone call. It was not going to happen. She had a husband and child, and that, she was told, where she should put her focus. But my great aunt didn't exactly take no for an answer. She went to Plan B. She belonged to the Women's Christian Temperance Union, and she went around to the various churches as a guest preacher for the Temperance Union. I remember Aunt Ethel today because she had a hat, gloves, purse, and shoes that all matched in just about every color of the rainbow. She dressed when she went out to preach. The church may have dismissed her, but she would not dismiss herself. She had worth and dignity, and she was going to show it. I titled this sermon, Clothes of Possibility, because when we resist a world that refuses to acknowledge our inherent worth and dignity by our dress, as well as by other actions, we declare that we will not let ourselves be limited by others. The possibilities of our lives will not be curtailed by those who think they have power over us. Dressing up can be a statement of reclaiming our own power. We will not be kept down. Sometimes society tells us the uniform we need to wear for others to acknowledge our power. The American writer Victor Laval says, clothes are a kind of uniform. A nun's habit, a surgeon's scrubs, a cop's uniform. People often say that when they put on a certain uniform, they actually think of themselves differently. That can be good or bad or both. I was in my mid-20s when I became a minister of my first churches. I would go to the hospital, say I was the minister, and get sideways looks. Then I started to wear a clergy collar. I was often addressed as sister, but I wasn't questioned and was signed in. About that same time, my mother insisted on one last portrait photo of my brother, sister, and me together. My sister is in her army uniform. I am in clergy collar with black suit, and my brother is in a business suit with tie. We had been launched. We had careers. And yes, perhaps we did think of ourselves differently. We were claiming a place in the world for ourselves as individual adults and not as our parents' children. Our clothes declared it. But sometimes Dress does not empower, but limits. And perhaps the most well-known poem about escaping the limits of dress is Warning by the English poet Jenny Joseph. And even if you think you don't know it, I bet you do. It begins, "When I am an old woman, I shall wear purple with a red hat that doesn't go and doesn't suit me. And I shall spend my pension on brandy and summer gloves and satin sandals and say we've no money for butter. I shall sit down on the pavement when I'm tired and gobble up samples in shops and press alarm bells and run my stick along the public railings and make up for the sobriety of my youth. I shall go out in my slippers in the rain and pick flowers in other people's gardens and learn to spit. You can wear terrible shirts and grow more fat and eat 3 pounds of sausages at a go, or only bread and pickle for a week, and hoard pens and pencils and beer mats and things in boxes. But now we must have clothes that keep us dry and pay our rent and not swear in the street and set a good example for the children. We must have friends to dinner and read the papers. But maybe I ought to practice a little now, so people who know me are not too shocked and surprised when suddenly I am old and start to wear purple. Notice it is by dressing against the limits of dress that she resists those limits. And I see you pointing out people wearing purple. Joseph will apparently wear purple as not a proper English woman shade, and with a red hat that doesn't go. She will do this when she is old and she expects that some of society's restrictions on her will be relaxed. But she ends that perhaps she will practice a little now, so that when she is old, no one will be surprised when she starts to wear purple. Both dressing to the nines and resisting the societal rules of dress are ways of declaring our own worth and dignity. And sometimes it is we who need to declare it. Japanese fashion designer Rei Kawakubo puts it succinctly. When you put on clothes that are fighting against something, you can feel your courage grow. Clothing can set you free.
So let us stand as we are able and sing together hymn number 201, Glory, Glory, Hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah, since I laid my burden down. Glory, glory, hallelujah, Norwegian writer and musician Varg Vikernes says, I wear clothes reflecting the color of my soul. As we extinguish the challenge, please stand as you are comfortable and recite these words on the screen. We will then sing Weave together as we extend loving energy to our friends and neighbors. Afterward, everyone is welcome to join us for refreshments in the social hall. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of the truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These may carry in our hearts until we are together again. We must together, together be in love. We must together, together in love. Thank you all.